been waiting. I mean, waiting to talk to you, brother. I need some of your knowledge. I've got your book right here. A book I bought from you probably 1 or 2 years ago. It's called, I'm gonna put it up real close. It's called Black.
That's right,
Black
brother.
Beliefs Limiting Authentic Cultural Knowledge. Beliefs Limiting Authentic Cultural Knowledge. Woo!
Yeah, drop it.
You're deep in that regard. You're also an awesome musician. Talk to me about George Middleton, how you're healing people emotionally, spiritually, through your psychology, psychiatry, and through your music. Nashville in the world. This is George Middleton.
Hey, well, thanks for that illustrious introduction, my brother. Yes, I'm George Middleton. I am a therapist. I'm a mentor, and I'm a musician. And I'm also an author promoting a series of works addressing the connection between our mental health and race ideology. And that's where the name Beliefs Limiting Authentic Cultural Knowledge comes from, to try to help us understand the difference between race and culture.
Okay. Talk to me about, help me understand race and culture, because I identify my race with my culture. I understand the other cultures out there, but when you talk about race and culture, I'm putting them together like beans and rice. Help me understand that.
Yeah, and that's what many of us are doing. And what it really has turned into is a case of normalized dysfunction. And one of the most dysfunctional aspects that's going on in our country right now is that we have no idea what race actually is. So I'll just give you some definitions here, so that at least when we're talking for this particular show, we're on the same page, because everybody's carrying around their own definitions of what they think race is, what they think a racist is, and what racism is. We've got an attorney general of the country who has no idea what racism is. So let me clarify.
And president.
Yes. Race is an ideology. It's not about skin color. It's about the beliefs in skin color.
Okay.
So the ideology is white supremacy.
Okay.
Now, when I say white supremacy, I'm not saying it from a criticism standpoint. I'm not pointing fingers. I'm not blaming. I'm just telling you what history is. This isn't my opinion. This is documented history. Race is an ideology of white supremacy. And it was created by the European in the 1600s to justify the transatlantic slave trade. Plain and simple. That's what race is. A racist is a person who consciously practices that belief. So they wake up every day and they say, I am going to do something to oppress someone who looks different than me, who's lower on the scale of human value because their skin is darker than mine. That's a racist.
Is the purpose of doing that so they can elevate themselves, elevate their own status for either financial benefit or in some other gratification? Is that the reason they're grouping together and pushing another group down? You saying?
Exactly. If it's the psychological way of putting you out of your own element so that they can advance. And it's all based on monetary, economic distribution, power, and access to wealth. And then racism, ISM, is the systemic practice of that ideology. So often on the news and personal conversations, people are throwing these words around with no intelligence whatsoever. They're just calling people racist. They're just saying that's racism. They believe that race is real. And so that gets into the next aspect of what's really important that I want people to know in order to to begin this work, that there's 3 factors that contribute to racism.
Okay.
Factor number 1 is the belief that race is a valid, scientifically based concept. People believe that race is as real as DNA. Not true.
Yep. Scientists have tried to come up with BS, cockamamie reasons why one race is better than the other.
That's correct.
And so there was an attempt to do that. Even eugenics, that movement started off the concept of superior race.
Right. So, and that has stuck like glue. So even when the European created it in the 1600s, and then 1865, when slavery was abolished, identity by skin color still remained. So they got rid of slavery. Well, they didn't really get rid of slavery. They just changed it from slavery to incarceration. That's what they really did. Because the next day, they made the vagrant rule so that if you didn't have a job or a home, you were set to go to prison. The next day after they abolished slavery. So, you know, the game just changes, but it stays the same. The names change, but the game stays the same. So the average belief that race is a real scientifically valid concept. The second factor that contributes to racism is the belief of the average person that their own self-identity is a skin color. That they actually believe my self-identity is either white or black.
Let me stop you there. You know, I've never really felt comfortable calling myself black. I do it. I don't like calling myself a black-owned business. Oftentimes, I'll make the intentional attempt to say African American because I want to be connected to Africa. You know, I see I'm brown. Basically, I got black in this Italian twine watch that I have, but I'm an African American. I wanted to be connected to that. I'm a member of the AME Church, African Methodist Episcopal. So sometimes, like you said, that whole self-identity, I feel the need to intentionally say African American over black because black disassociates me from my motherland. And does that fit into what you're saying?
And let me add to that. Let me put it to you in a question. If you know that the European created race for your oppression and gave you a label called black to make you lower than white, and you became aware of that, would you continue to keep the label of your oppressor?
Oh, heck no. I'll stop using black as quick as I stop using picnic.
But that's what we're doing. We are fighting to maintain the oppressor's label of black. And it's not getting us anywhere. There's nowhere in society where black as a collective is outperforming any other cultural or racial group in any area of importance. In education, in employment, in health, in wealth, judicial, incarceration, you name the system. And I don't mean sports and entertainment. That's not a system. That's not, you don't need sports and entertainment to survive, but you need jobs. You need health. You need in all of those. So and the reason we're in last place is not because we don't have the ability or the talent. It's because we've adopted the oppressor's label of identity. And what's important about that is there are beliefs, hence again my book, Beliefs Limiting. There are beliefs associated with color that we all adhere to. So we act a certain way because there's a certain way to act black and there's a certain way to act white. And typically the characteristics that you attribute to white are way more positive and empowering than the characteristics you attribute to black. And so as a result, we shun each other. We don't do business with each other like we should. We hate on each other quicker than we should. We do all things that was programmed into us to do by the oppressor's label. And then the third element of that contributes to racism is the average person's belief that the belief in race and the belief in racial identity doesn't impact the way that I think, the way that I behave, and the way that I treat other people. We think they're separate, but you can't separate your identity and your belief from your behavior.
I love that, brother. This is awesome. Now, I know people going to want to, now that we know those three things, they're going to want to know, we see the problem, we feel the problem. Instinctively, growing up black, we understand the problem. Tell us where we can find you, because people now, we want to go to the solution. Where can we find more about your thought process? Where can we get this book? And after we get through that, I want you to talk to me about the music, because I believe, Nicole, I believe that is an awesome jazz musician. I can see him right there beside your stage playing while folks are doing their artwork. And so connecting businesses, that's important to me too. But George, tell me where they can find you so we can bridge this gap. But we know what the problem is. Where can they find more about you for the solution?
So my work is available on Amazon, and I have 3 workbooks: Beliefs Limiting Authentic Cultural Knowledge, Racism, the Disease and How to Cure It. That's the second book. And my most recent book is Can You Be American and a Color Too? The Transition from Color to Culture. And they're all workbooks, and they're designed to challenge the way you think. You know, we have a lot of people, we've got a lot of public speakers and celebrities and well-known personalities that are good at telling you and capturing crowds and describing the problem. But the more boring part of it is to work your way through the problem. Race is a mental game. It attacks your mind. And the only way you're going to overcome issues of race and racism is you have to think your way through it. Because right now, you're not in control of if you identify by skin color, if you believe that race is real, you are being controlled by the European oppressor. And so these books are designed to get you to work your way wherever you are in your journey to finding who your authentic identity is and work from there. And then I do a lot of diversity consulting with organizations, companies, with just this kind of stuff to challenge the way they're thinking. We don't need any more training. We don't need any more workshops. What we need is an action plan on how to attack the way we're thinking. We've got to address, if you want different behaviors, you want different outcomes, you got to start with how you're thinking.
Folks, I'm definitely going to have you come back on another week, because in light of the protest, and which is the anger of the people who are the voice of the people who are unheard, when you can't express yourself, that's what it looks like. And when that's consistent oppression, that's what that looks like. I'm going to have you back, Brother Middleton, and talk about that aspect of it, the rioting and the voice of the unheard, which Martin Luther King talked about. So I want to thank you for being on the show today. And I want to thank you for about a month ago, you let me use your music studio to go live. So I want to personally thank you for doing that. And maybe we'll have you back sometime. We can just get you playing some of that jazz that's so relaxing, or one of those George Middleton original pieces. Will you do that for me?
I will. You can find my music on any of the platforms, iTunes, Spotify. I have a gospel jazz, a holiday jazz, and a smooth jazz projects out. So you can look that up too. And my website is www.the George Middleton, the George Middleton. So you can find me there. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram next to Big Fred Whitney.
That's right. You can find me right there. Actually, he's bigger than me, but this guy is a giant. When you see George Middleton in real life, I'm going to be like, a small fry. This dude is extra large. He's larger than life in life, and his work is larger than life, and it's transformational. Folks, please grab this material. Check out his music. He'll be online. Make sure you type your information in the comments so people can see it. George, again, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for joining. I believe what you said today, touching people, it really called into question, should we continue to call ourselves Black? You have to ask yourself that question. I know it's understood, but it's a good question you posed to us. I want to
leave you with this last question for everybody to think on. Are you, this is to everybody that's listening, are you your color, or are you your culture?
Thank you. George, peace out.